Okay, so my respect to our professor, Ma'am Nerissa and Beatrice, my dear classmates, a blessed day. So the topic assigned to me is to discuss one of the special education needs. So I am Mary Ann Isegi from Panaypayan Elementary School, your discussant for today. So my topic is about autism, or also known as ASD, or the Autism Spectrum Disorder. Okay, so what is autism or ASD? So autism is a range of neurodevelopmental disorder that involves delays in the development of many basic skills and functions, so including that ability to socialize and to communicate. So autism is called a spectrum disorder because people with ASD can have a range of symptoms. So since this condition affects the brain's normal development of social and communication skills, kaya nahihirapang makipag-communicate at makipag-interact sa society, socially in school and at work, for example, ang isang taong may autism. Okay, so this condition begins early in childhood and lasts throughout a person's life. So usually, this condition appears before a child turns 3. And according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDCP, autism diagnosed more often in boys than in girls. Okay, so what could be the causes of this condition? So the exact cause of the condition is unknown. So hindi pa matukoy kung anong dahilan ng autism sa tao. But the research suggests that genes can act together with influences from the environment to affect a child's development in a way that brings about autism. So some certain factors that may make a person be at a high risk of developing autism may include: 1. A family history of the condition. So families who have one child with ASD have increased risk of having another child with the disorder. 2. Being male, so occurs more in male children. Then 3, having a certain genetic conditions such as Down syndrome, Fragile X syndrome, and Rett syndrome. 4, having older parents. So there may be a connection between children born older parents and autism spectrum disorder. Then last, extremely preterm babies. So those babies born before 26 weeks of gestation may have a greater risk of ASD. Okay, so symptoms of ASD are usually seen by the age of 2 years. So children with these conditions can display a pattern of behavior and severity ranging from mild to disabling. So here are the social, communication, and interaction symptoms. So 1, having poor eye contact and a lack of facial expression. So pagkausap mo ang batang may condition, he doesn't respond very well with eye contact or smiles. Then next symptoms, okay, failing to or being slow to respond to someone calling their names. So kapag ang batang may ganitong condition, for instance, pag tinawag mo siya o ang kanyang pangalan, hindi agad siya nagre-respond. Next symptoms is resist cuddling and holding and seem to prefer playing alone, retreating into his or her own world. So he does not play interactive games well with others. So napaka-withdrawn or shy type ng ganitong bata na may condition. So he has no friend because he is not very good at making friends and prefer to spend time by himself rather than others. At kapag naglalaro naman siyang mag-isa, he does not pretend in play, or he does not imaginative in play. So does not pretend to, for example, he does not pretend to feed a doll, just like that. Okay, then number 4, having difficulty with verbal communication, including problem using and understanding language, and also having a difficulty with nonverbal communication, such as interpreting others people gesture and facial expression. So both have trouble in verbal and nonverbal communication, and has also trouble in understanding other people's feelings or talking about on feelings. Okay, then next symptoms, having unusual sleeping habits. Yan, having difficulty in sleeping. So, hindi makatulog ng normal unlike sa mga normal na bata. So, next symptoms, having an aggressive behavior. So, being hyperactive, impulsive, and inattentive behavior. Okay, next symptoms, having an unusual tone of voice that sounds sing-song, robot-like. So, talking in unusual voice, a sing-song, and a robotic voice. Okay, so yeah, in pattern of behavior, it's usually limited and repetitive. So they may include performs repetitive movements such as rocking, spinning, or hand clapping. So he doing something over and over, like repeating words or phrases, and rocking back and laughing. So another pattern of behavior is performs activities that can cause self-harm, such as headbanging. Okay, so may mga behavior na minsan na sinasaktan niya ang sarili ng paulit-ulit. Okay, so another pattern of behavior is that have an over-interest or fixating on an object or an activity. So he has an obsessive interest on thing or in an activity. So may certain toys lang siya na favorite niyang nilalaro. So kaya gustong-gusto niyang laruin yung toys na yun dahil may parts sa toys na interesado siya at paulit-ulit niyang ginagawa. Like for instance, yung gulong ng toy car. Okay, next. And the last of pattern behavior is he has food preference such as eating only a few foods or refusing foods with a certain texture. So may mga certain foods lang siyang kinakain. Kung ano lang favorite niyang food, yun lang din ang madalas kainin. Okay, so how to diagnose this condition? So there is no specific medical test to diagnose this condition. So autism diagnosed done through a behavioral observation and screening, and it is not involved any blood test or scanning. So to make a diagnosis, specialists may recommend genetic testing to identify a genetic disorder such as Fragile X syndrome, Down syndrome, or Rett syndrome. So next is observe the child and ask the parents or guardians how the child's social skills and behavior have developed and changed with time. Then give the child tests that cover hearing, speech, language, developmental level, and behavioral issues. So how to treat this condition? So there is no cure for this disorder, but intensive early treatment can make a big difference in the lives of many children. So early diagnosis and early intervention helps in developing the child communication and social behavior. So here's the treatment options. Include therapy such as behavioral and communication therapy, educational therapy, speech therapy, and occupational therapy. So the type of the therapy depends on the child's need. So the core symptoms of autism cannot be improved with medication. So such as antidepressants can help to control anxiety or antipsychotics for several behavioral problems. Okay, so that's end my report. Thank you very much for